Good morning. Just pulled into work, looking at a beautiful sunrise. Supposed to be nice and warm today, and it's going to be a very busy day, so I'm going to be pretty dog tired at the end of it. Just had to get that mosquito. He's been in my vehicle for a couple days now. Anyway, yeah, I'm supposed to get over a 4,000 piece truck for me and one person. We have to try to work all of that in 8 hours while helping other people and loading and all this stuff. Just unnecessarily a large amount of work, Yeah, corporations and their stupid rules and regulations, thinking they can ask that of people while paying what little they do. But anyway, I'm not trying to start the morning off with a gripe. I was looking at some videos and documentaries about eye colors and genetics and things like that. And it got me thinking about people today, and when I mean that, I mean primarily men, women too, but because it applies to them, genetics and all that. But my my thinking ended up going on the maturity levels of people, and you have the maturity when you can start reproducing, and then there's the actual mental maturity. Usually the former happens before the other. And these days we're forced into you need to grow up at a very young age, and those times, your teenage years, your early 20s, we're not being young, we're not being youths, we're forced to behave like our elders did, where we had to just do nothing but be a cog in a machine to like a corporation or a company, where it's just like you get used up until you get too corroded for them to use you, and then they toss you aside, and you might get a pension, you might get something out of it. Hopefully you saved up enough money for when your Social Security gets paid out that you actually have enough to live on, because that's a problem for that generation. I can't imagine how bad it's going to be for mine when we're too old to work, because Social Security does not keep up with inflation, and there's not going to be anybody to take care of us when no one's having children when we become too old. And that's something that needs to be thought about by people when they say they don't want to have kids but they want to retire. Think about that. My I think the maturity level for a girl to become reproductive now is not even 10. That's insane. And for boys, it's not even 12, And we're forced to grow up by culture, we dress up kids like they're adults that work a certain profession of the night. Our music degrades maturity and masculinity and femininity and all these things. It encourages vices and all this terrible stuff. And then we get fed all this product that's called food, and it's all toxic, and it poisons us, and it's forcing us to mature on a sexual level way too soon. And on a mental level, it spurs some behaviors while repressing others. And it's designed to be that way. And I don't understand how that can be a good thing in any way, I started getting facial hair really young. And that might be normal genetically for some people, some some groups on the earth. But when I was in school, there was kids that had full-on beards. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, this is not normal. I'm over here learning about geometry and you got facial hair already. You're not even double digits. You know, and I'm thinking about all this poison. Well, I don't know why it's such a fight to try to have us where we live naturally, you know? Like we eat whole food ingredients, whole foods, stuff that doesn't have barcodes on it, like this banana, you know what I mean? And this isn't the best example because this is genetically bred to be sweet. We don't really have much variety in bananas anymore unless you want to pay a premium. Most people, when they think of bananas, they think something that tastes sweet and it's soft, and you know, not all of them are. Like bananas are usually they're pretty small actually, unless you modify them. Same with corn. Corn isn't naturally as sweet as it is. It's been modified to be that way, and then we put all these chemicals on it to kill the bugs, and then before it gets harvested, they do a final spray of chemicals, of poison, to preserve it, and then they put it in the bag or box, and then we eat it, and we wonder why we're dying younger. You know, like we're hitting maturity sooner. We're getting gassed out in our 20s and 30s, and we're dying in our 60s and our 50s of heart attacks, cancers, tumors, you know, intestinal problems, stomach problems, blood problems, liver failure. All this stuff in this age when we have just an amazing amount of medical knowledge and science, you know, and we're dying younger than we ever have. Maybe since the Black Death, and then that would have been a really rough time. I'm glad I wasn't in that. However, having to compare our modern age life expectancy to the previous couple generations, we're worse off. We're dying younger than ever. And I'm thinking more and more about that, where we're being told that we're too childish, especially men, that we need to stop being masculine and play and be childish in ways that are not useful. You know, there's playtime when you're young, a kid, a child, preteen. That's playtime. Your teenage years, that's when you're discovering yourself. You're messing up, you know what I mean? And you do that in your teens and 20s. You mess up young, so when you become old, you become accustomed to it. You become accustomed to how to move on, how to respond to things. These are not very common anymore, because I know a lot of adults that are children and a lot of kids that are mature. You know what I mean? Like, I've been told by a lot of people that I'm more mature than my age is. And it's meant as a compliment, but it kind of hurts because I wasn't given the choice in the matter, you know? Like, I was forced to grow up because if I didn't grow up, I would have ended up homeless on the streets. I would have ended up maybe in a jail because I couldn't afford to pay these mandatory taxes I don't get a say in, or this fee and that fee that I don't get a say in, you know? Like, yesterday I had to go in and ask about my registration on my vehicle, you know, because I bought this thing like in December last year, and my tabs are already expired. But when I went in, I said, oh no, you got tabs for 2 years. And I said, well, why haven't I received them in? Because mine show expired on my vehicle. Oh, well, you should have. Okay, well, then where are they? I haven't moved addresses. I didn't change my name. Like, well, we can give you new ones, but guess what? I have to pay for that. I didn't mess up. They messed up, and I got to pay for it. Thank God I had money from my last paycheck. I have $11 in my account right now. $11. And that's like that. Every single paycheck, I get it, it's gone. And if I wasn't mentally mature enough, I would freak out about every single thing, you know? That's something that keeps us in this fog, in this haze, and we distract ourselves with this playtime that is not useful. Useful playtime is something like learning new hobbies, learning new skills, learning how to actually make things, learning how to cook things, learning something healthy to do, like hiking or walking, or how to do exercises, how to film even, how to paint, draw, write, read. Those are useful playtime things. You know, not playtime things, playing video games. That's not playful. That's not useful. That's just wasting your time. You're distracting yourself from the reality that is life. The reality that you are in a time that requires certain things of you, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not. You know, my generation is probably the most lost generation in a very long time, because we were failed by the previous one, which was completely failed by the boomers. And they're still around. They are still around because they lived in the best time in history. The best time. The economy was booming. Things were cheap. Food was food. You know, you were prescribed things that actually helped rather than to keep you on a constant comeback, in and out prescription. Instead of prescribing you something that kept money in the doctor's pockets and the pharmaceutical industry booming in business, it was, I prescribe you fresh air and exercise and healthy food. We somehow forgot about that as a culture. Like, a lot of our physical ailments and our problems for hormones is fixed by food. Food is medicine. If you feel like crap all the time, well, maybe it's because you're eating crap. When you drink an energy drink in the morning and that's your start, you're going to feel like crap when that energy drink wears off, because that's not useful to you. It's sugar, caffeine, and chemicals. You're going to feel bad. But if you ate, let's say, a protein and a fat with a little bit of carbohydrates like your dairy and your coffee, you're going to be burnt. That forage inside your stomach is going to be burning all day. So you're going to have a slow release of energy over the course of the day from that one initial meal that you ate. And that is why one meal a day isn't so, crazy. It's not. If you eat correctly, then you can do that and be satiated the whole day and not have that crash. You can do that with anything. You don't need to eat one meal a day. Just eat the right stuff. And don't stuff your face, Like yesterday, I had... Oh, and like my breakfast as well this morning was squirrel soup. I finally got that squirrel that was digging out my garden and dug out all my pots. I need to get all new everything. It destroyed the whole harvest. But I finally got both of them. And I kept one of them because the other one had a bunch of parasites. I didn't want to bring that inside and spread them to the dogs. So, skinned them. I stewed them. Best freaking meal I had in a long time. And it didn't come from a grocery store, that's why. Because in the grocery store, if it's got a barcode on it, there's additives in it. If you go to a grocery store, stay on the outside aisles. That's the stuff that doesn't have all the chemicals and preservatives and things in there that give you autism, ADHD, cancers, poisons, stomach issues, intestinal problems, lethargy, behavior problems is a real big one. That's probably the biggest one. Like a lot of this stuff that we give kids that has all these colors in it to make it all shiny and attractive to kids, which they are doing on purpose. A lot of these food companies, they do it on purpose. They were the former tobacco industry, so they know how to get you addicted to stuff. That's why all that stuff's in there. It's to keep you addicted and coming back to it. And they overly process it, so you eat chips by the bag, you eat cereal by the box, you eat snacks by the case, you drink sodas by the case. It's made like that. The only way out of it is just to stop buying it. Think about what's really keeping you where you are, and you'll save a lot of money just doing that. And if I didn't still have some of that training that I learned myself when I was going through that phase of getting in shape, which I'm going through another phase again. I have to burn off all that winter fat. It's always winter up here, so the food, it's not going to make you feel bad. The processed stuff, that's what keeps you bad. That's what makes you mature too soon sexually. That's what keeps you feeling sick. That's what keeps you depressed. That's what makes you frustrated at all the little things. Hormonal problems, reproductive harm, cancer, all that's from that garbage. And then you turn on the TV, and what do you say? Oh, there's a prescription for that. There's a prescription for that. It's a whole Pandora's box of evil, I think. It is so evil. And they make so much money making people sick. And I'm not saying doctors are bad. I think most of them are good, and they mean well. But they're trained by those people, because guess what? They fund their degrees. They fund their hospital, their studies, to make them look good indirectly. So they may not even know it. So they're trained to prescribe rather than fix the issue. If you're diabetic, it's probably because you're insulin resistant, right? What spikes your insulin? Anything will spike your insulin, but some of it really spikes it, and it keeps it high. Sugar, carbohydrates. What do you get when you go to the hospital for diabetes? They give you insulin. You already have high levels of insulin, and they're giving you more insulin. How about you just eat right? You wouldn't need to go to the doctor and have all this expensive medicine and change. Try a lifestyle change. So the lesson of this video: if you're young, be young, live. This place where I work, that's not living. I don't live here. I go here till I get the things I want. When it's my time, I'm moving on, and I'm going to live elsewhere. In 20 years, I'll still have a strong back and good legs. Unless I'm injured, God willing, I'll have good legs, a good back, good shoulders. Just live, eat right. Do healthy things. Think healthy thoughts. Stop watching the TV all the time. Stop watching TikTok. Get rid of that crap. Get rid of Facebook. Get rid of that crap. Listen to good music. Read good books. See beautiful sights. Go out in beautiful weather. Get out of your house, whether it's beautiful or not. Go outside. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. It's a pretty long video today, but I hope that this video gives some encouragement to anybody that might need it. Maybe some pointers to anybody that wants to possibly better their life. I'm just telling you, this is what I did. But until next one, I'm gonna be in the woods in the next video, I promise. Alright, goodbye.